February felt different, full, joyful, like the stories were beginning to step beyond my desk. Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm Caitlin King, author of YA Christian Fiction and Fantasy, and this is my vlog where I talk about what I did for the month, what books I've read, and what projects I've been working on. If you've been here for a while, you might notice a few differences in this video, one being that the chair is in a different location, and that's because during Christmas time and the fallout's a bit strong. During the transition after Christmas time, trying to get all of my Christmas decorations back into my house, all of my stuff for my bookstore pop-up that I've been doing had to be brought into the house. And so some chairs got moved around so we could shove everything into the corner. So at the moment, this chair is in a new location. And when everything gets back to normal, the chair will go back to its corner over by my bookshelf. So this is new. I will also be discussing at length my trip to LTUE, which, if you remember last year, I talked about it. It is Life, the Universe, and Everything Conference, a science fiction and fantasy creatives conference. And it was so much fun. I really had a blast. I have so much content from it that I can't wait to get into a little bit more. But I do have a couple of notebooks here that I took notes in. I also have 3 books that I ended up picking up. I do not talk about these in the later section where I talk about what books I've been reading, because there was actually quite a bit for me to talk about in this vlog. So I don't talk about the ones that I picked up. These are the books I picked up. However, if you go over to my Patreon and the public page and the bookshelf page, or the book club page, which is only $1, I actually talk about these books and why I picked them up. So in the public page, I think I just talk about the fact that I got them, and the book club page, I actually explain why I picked the ones I did, and I am super excited to read these, and I can't wait. So I hope you enjoy this vlog about everything that happened in the month of February. This month, I hosted my first pop-up at Café at Amore in Rigby. It's a beautiful, community-centered cafe with the warmest atmosphere. It felt surreal to set up my books in a space like that, to see stories I wrote sitting in the midst of real conversations and coffee cups. Later in the month, my friends Melissa, Ellie, and I went to LTUE, and we had so much fun.
Nope. All right. We are walking to LTUE. Woo!
One of the keynote speakers this year was Ron Clements, who was a Disney Imagineer and director and artist, and it was so amazing to hear his story of his perseverance to get into the art world back before, anything like we have today, and all these amazing projects that he worked on. And I just sat there in awe watching him recount how he came up with and directed some of these amazing movies that shaped my childhood and shaped how I view stories. Last year, I recounted my experience by showing my notes and then just explaining myself to you, the viewer of my vlogs. This year, I wanted to do something different since I went with friends. And so Ellie, Melissa, and I decided each night we would sit and talk a little bit about the things we've learned. Now, I expected this to be 5-10 minutes tops, and the first night was 25 minutes, the second night, 55 minutes, and the third night, 2 hours. I don't think you wanted us to do that. So I'm only going to be putting in a couple of clips from each night. So here's the first one.
So I had 2 classes. First one was the rise of YA.
Yes.
They start with, they say that most of them are booksellers.
Okay.
Or work for publishers, or they're an editor, or that sort of thing. One of them was an editor.
So they're heavily influenced in the industry.
They heavily influence the industry, right?
Okay.
They start talking about how there didn't used to be a bridge between juvenile and adult. So when you stopped reading kids' books, and it was like, okay, you're too old to read this now, it was like jumping to It.
Nice.
Stephen King.
Cool. Okay.
And so there was this huge gap. They start out by talking about how there's this huge gap for teenagers, and then came Harry Potter and Twilight and Hunger Games, and it filled it in, and you were like, okay, it met the needs of that age group.
Okay.
And I'm like, great, wonderful, that's who we're supposed to be writing for. Then they continue to talk about how if you look at the demographics of YA, the biggest 60% of the readers are 35-year-old women.
Yep. You know why?
Yeah.
Because they were the ones who grew up with that genre just starting out.
Okay.
Now that they are older,
That's fair.
they can go back and relive their great childhood.
And that's not what they said, though.
But that is what happens. It's
Hopefully.
nostalgia.
Well, hang on.
It's all nostalgia.
I'm really worried now. What did they say happened?
Yeah. What did they say though?
So what they said was that it was moms looking for, or women looking for clean content.
Have they?
But no, that was before it started getting spicy. It was women looking for clean content.
Okay.
Then they said that they were the ones reading it. Therefore, they started changing the covers because you didn't want kids and teens and that sort of thing on the covers, because then adult men and women didn't want to be seen reading these books. So that's why they changed to the symbols. So that it catered more to the adults. And I'm like, why are we catering to the adults?
So the entire idea is that the genre has changed the cover images due to guilt and shame for enjoying.
It's fine. Continue.
And so they were saying all of this, and then
is angry. Got a lot of feelings and thoughts.
trust me, I was losing my mind. I told you, I almost walked out 3 times.
That's right. Okay.
So
I did not realize that was.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was frustrating me because they kept talking about it, and then they were talking about how it needed to, or that now they want spice in the book, and so they just put it in because this is what is selling, and they repeated the phrase over and over again. It's all about money. It's all about money. It's all about money. And I'm like, why are we writing?
Okay.
Yeah, let Melissa talk, and then I had a realization, since one of the panelists was also in the final panel we did
And
today.
she was the one that was the biggest one saying it's all about money.
Yes.
This is what sells.
Unless you were a, what was the term she had? It was a pleasure writer.
Oh, yes.
Because that was
Okay.
a phrase that was used. Okay, Melissa and her feelings.
Okay.
Go.
Devil's advocate, it is about money. It's because it's
Oh, yeah.
selling. Okay.
Yes.
Here's the thing though. Teen, young adult fiction, it was supposed to be that age gap where we are no longer juvie, but we're not quite adults.
Mhm.
Teen fiction was supposed to not have censorship.
Mhm.
So there were a lot of older teen books that were naughty in it. But the majority of it, yes, was maybe a little bit more clean in terms of sexual content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The content though, it was supposed to be for that age range of being a teenager where you're challenging the boundaries, you're trying to figure out who you are. You don't want to have the rules, but you need a safe environment to learn what breaking those rules looks like.
Well, I mean, Harry Potter's a really good example of that because.
Well, and that one's an interesting one because it starts juvie and
does.
it becomes teen.
Yeah.
But with that too, though, the content that you were talking about, it is that clean, no sexual content.
Yes.
But it gets dark.
It gets
real
very
fast.
dark.
You have to
Yes.
figure out how you feel about certain topics real quick.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was the thing is that they were talking about the what was considered clean and the coming of age and that's what it is. And then they were like, but it appeals to adults because aren't we all coming of age in some way? And I'm like, it's not the same.
No.
No.
It's why some publishers are pushing for a new adult section
And they said
to
that
try and be able to put some of those ones that are not appropriate for a 13-year-old
Which I think is fair.
which is fair.
Well, and
It gives me a headache as a librarian because I'm just like, not another section.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
But-
they brought that up because they said that some years ago someone tried to get new adult to start and they're
Yeah.
like, it was like trying to make fetch happen. It
Exactly.
wasn't gonna happen.
Yeah.
But now romantasy has exploded and it is
Yes.
bringing it back. And
Yes.
I'm like, that's great, that's fine. I've always thought that they need something, for that age range. But at the same time, there should be, movies have content warnings.
Yeah.
This is PG-13
Mhm.
because it has this and this in it.
Mhm.
Like, you can't have that for a book.
Not on the outside of the cover because then you are creating essentially the yellow star on the book. You can't put it on the book cover. I would be okay with having a content list, like a
Yeah.
tax
So
warning
it's somehow
on the
has become
inside,
incredibly
which has
popular
started
now.
happening, which
Yeah.
has been very nice. Because then the author can list out any
Mhm.
content warnings, triggers,
Yeah.
even just like, this is what it's about.
Yeah.
But that I would be in favor of, is just
Yeah.
having a
Mhm.
content list on the inside of the book. Because I do worry though, if we start rating books on the outside of the cover,
Mhm.
it'll actually keep people from reading. Because then they're gonna have that stigma
Yeah.
again of having the little kids on the cover.
Yeah.
That's why they started moving to having all these abstract covers, is because you don't know if it's a teen book or a
Mhm.
kid's book or
Yeah.
an adult book.
Yeah.
Anybody can read it.
So, but in going through that, them talking about marketing to the adults, they're saying, romantasy is what's selling,
Yeah.
and all of this, and I'm like, you're gearing this towards a 35-year-old woman that wants spicy romantasy. This was not what it was for, and so I finally rose my hand, and I'm like, do you not feel that this is morally wrong
Yeah.
to prioritize money over the intended audience? And the entire audience was sitting there nodding their heads like, yes.
And that's where it gets frustrating, because it's like, if they want to have that content in the book, cool. I don't care. I really don't.
Yeah,
that is your book. You make
Keep
that
it for the
choice.
intended audience.
But if the content is not for the intended audience of a teenager,
Yeah.
typically from ages 12 to 18,
Mhm.
and you would not want your child reading this, then maybe it needs to be in the adult section.
Yeah.
And you can still release it. It can still be romantasy,
Yeah.
which, by the way, I hate that term. I have feelings on that one too. Anyways, but if you want to write that, write it.
Mhm.
Please. More books in the world, the better.
Yeah. Just
But
keep in mind
just
who's
keep in
going
mind
to
who
read
is
it.
your audience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so I realized that throughout day 2 of LTUE, I did not film very much. Not B-roll, not what the panels or the writing meetups were about. So I was like, I'll just do it quick at the end. I kind of look dead, like my lips are super pale. I'm exhausted, but I'm having a great time. And look, I got a tiara. And it looks like Belle. And I was so happy, and I walked around with it all day long, and people smiled at me, and it was adorable. There's a vendor here selling tiaras, and if you noticed from the last night's video, my friend Ellie was wearing a tiara. Both Melissa and I got tiaras today, so we'll probably both have our tiaras on, unless I get tired, because I am really exhausted and kind of want to take it off as well. So, but we are going to do another debrief in another minute, so you'll get to see some of us talking about what we're learning. But sorry there wasn't very much footage of the actual conference from today.
It's grown. I don't know. I don't garden. And start.
Well, I'm a gardener because that's how I write.
There you go.
Yay! Nice segue.
Hey, I'm queen of that.
Hey!
Okay, so both of us went to the retelling of the folk and fairy tale,
Yeah.
which I really did enjoy, even though I haven't read the book.
Okay, Naomi Novik is amazing. I love her book so much. So to get to hear somebody talk about all of the folklore in it, which I already am just a geek for.
Yeah, I'm sure you understood it a whole lot better. She's sitting there saying how characters from the book fit many characters from the original story.
Yeah.
And she's like, this person is also a miller's daughter because they have a parent who does this to them. And I'm like, I have so lost this story. It might make more sense when I actually read it, but when she was breaking it down, I was like, I feel like I am in college English lit again.
Okay, so what she meant is that in fairy tales, they tend to have the same type of characters, especially with certain types of stories.
Mm-hmm.
So by having, so Novik having like 3 different miller's daughters, it's because she was using like different miller's daughters from different stories. But she was subverting the trope by having them each have their own personality, their own dreams, the things that they wanted versus the things they needed. But they were also the foil to the main character, who was the miller's daughter and was taking on that role of the moneylender as Rumpelstiltskin. So she was using all these side characters and in such a clever way, where she's like, this one's from this one, this one's from this one. Well, maybe I'll use a secondary one from the exact same tale, but she's going to be this type of character. And so you were able to have this mirror of the main character of what she could have been, which was the traditional miller's daughter, but she's different. She's good at math. She's a businesswoman. And so she subverts the trope. And that's what makes it so fun.
I got lost for a little bit when she was like, okay, so the main character is Rumpelstiltskin's daughter or the miller's daughter, or it's also Rumpelstiltskin, and I'm like, what's happening in this?
This is why I don't do fairy tale retellings, guys.
No, and the thing is, normally I can, because she leaned over and she's like, I can't believe you watched Once Upon a Time and you haven't read this book.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's been on the list. I wanted to read this book.
Well, now you need to read this book.
I need to read it because but apparently it's going to be, though, like Once Upon a Time, where I'm going to be sitting there going, what's going on in the story? So yeah. But I did like a lot of what she said, and it was kind of more of a refresher for me on just how much I love fairy tale retellings, folk tale tellings, and how to do them, incorporating other things. So I enjoyed it. I wish there were more fairy tale retelling panels this year or sessions.
Yeah, so while you guys were at that one, I was at the Instagram marketing one.
Mm-hmm.
And that one, it was less of a refresher in how to, but it was a really nice reminder of don't chase the numbers.
Yeah.
Because you see these people, they've got 22 million followers and they are going viral every day, but they have no engagement. And what you're supposed to be looking for in Instagram is the engagement, or any social media is the engagement. Because if you have 100 followers and 90 of them are interacting with your things, the algorithm is going to pick you up. If you've got your 22 million, no one interacts with your things, the algorithm doesn't care. They did say trends are starting to change though with Instagram, and it is moving to short form video. I know, but it sounds like most platforms are moving in that direction.
Okay, can I point out something that could throw a wrench in that though? Most people do not interact with the short form videos because you're scrolling. You're not stopping to comment on those videos.
But the longer you watch them, I don't know if do you scroll much on Facebook?
Sometimes, yeah.
Okay, so the longer a person watches a Facebook video, if they are monetized, the more money they make from that video. So even if you have 20 people scrolling, looking at it briefly and then scrolling past it, you are still getting feedback. The 3-second view is everything. So with Instagram, that short form video, if you can get that on, they've also noticed a trend now. Instagram is showing you someone you follow, 3 things the algorithm thinks you will like, and then someone you follow again. Don't know if you've noticed it scrolling.
I've just noticed that I'm like, why are there so many things that are not who I'm following?
I know, I'm talking over you. We discovered you had an Instagram today.
I didn't know I had one.
You have one.
I do apparently. I don't have TikTok on my phone. I don't have Instagram on my phone.
But you're not missing out, really.
Yeah, because I don't want to screw up my attention span.
Yeah. Which is what we discussed in another panel I went into, but I'll discuss that one later. But with the Instagram panel, what was really interesting was the realization that a lot of the time you are posting something, you post it and then it doesn't work, so you move on, right? The magic number is 30 times posting that variety of video or post, and then you have real data. So 30 introduction posts. Hi, I'm Kate King. Hi, I'm Caitlin King. Hi, I write this. If you like this, you would like mine. I write this.
Like 30 days in a row?
No,
or?
30 instances.
Okay.
30 instances of that content or same content, same vein. So if you're introducing yourself, post 30 introduction posts of whatever variety.
Ugh.
And then I know, it's a lot of work, but it makes sense because then you gather actual data. So if your introduction posts do not do well, you know the introduction post is not going to get engagement from your reader. You can stop introducing yourself. But if you start, like that little video you did that you got quite a few video views on, right?
Yeah, they're like yes, no.
Yeah.
I was like, what? That one got 1,500 views. You've got to be
So you got your 1,500 views, and that's great. Post it again and see what it does, because it's going to change the numbers.
Post it again as in like just repost the same thing, or do another video where it's a voiceover with books?
Voiceover with books, same thing, because it's a comedy piece. That one was comedy.
Yes, okay.
So comedy, showing your books, doing that. So let's say you post it again.
Mm-hmm.
Less views. Don't give up, because maybe it's just a bad day. Post it a third time. Well, that one still has low views. By the time you get 30 posts of that variety, you can see where those views average out. And if it's really, really low, that's not the content your readers and your watchers and the audience you are targeting are interested in. But if it does go higher up with your averages...
It was time for this.
That was something else that was brought up. Set the boundaries on how long you're going to be doing that.
Yeah.
The panelists said that they spend maybe an hour on social media a day. Replying to comments, replying to emails, posting, everything. And then they're done.
Yeah.
Which I really, really appreciated. But that one in particular was build slowly, engage with people, try, look at failure as a learning opportunity, and realize that the people who are the ones you want to be there interacting with you are the people that you are trying to interact with back. Don't try to gather a bunch of people to say hello to, because they aren't going to interact with you if they're not interested. I know, you don't do socials.
Yeah, I'm like, we're going to have to skip my Amazon one because that way she can join the conversation again.
Yeah, sorry.
No, it's like, even just listening to spending an hour to respond to posts, I'm just
and put your posts up.
I don't even respond to my
emails.
mom when she texts me on time. Like, how am I supposed to do this with somebody else that I don't even know?
Yeah.
This is built for beef.
Take your phone out of your pocket.
All right, so, and what is your name? Stephen. Stephen, we are here. Okay, so I'm gonna bring it up with ropes, and I just want you to give your hand right flat and then touch it. Ready? Okay.
This is the stupidest thing. No, this is not the stupidest thing I've ever done.
All right, now that was just trying to a little bit. I didn't give you the full shot. You notice my finger wasn't on. Are you ready for the full shot?
No, let's go.
Okay, let's do it again. Put your hand against it. Just put your hand against it. Oh! Okay. All right, give Stephen a hand.
No, but she went to the first session where we dipped out of ours.
Yeah, because it was manipulative. How to manipulate people.
Yeah. Did you tell her?
I filled her in a little bit on it, yeah.
Yeah, the fact that it was like, we thought that
They went to the hypnosis panel. And it turns out it was about hypnosis in real life and writing.
We thought it was going to be about immersion.
yes, because it said, the description was hypno writing, how to make your reader feel like they're in the world.
Yeah, we thought it was immerse the reader, not like make your reader feel like they're in the world.
Not turn on your reader's lizard brain so that the only way they can survive is by reading your book. No, that's manipulative. That's creepy. So you actually went to your first session.
I thought
so what
it
was that?
immersion readers, not us.
Let's see, where was it? It was a profound, I think it was a profound core. I think that's the one it was. But it was kind of interesting because it was like, it pointed out movie. So he was a film director.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And so everything that he approached it by was from a film director standpoint, but he was like, even though it's film though, it's writing.
Yeah.
And writing is also the same as film.
Yeah.
And so
it's done differently.
Yeah, so he was just pointing out like the things that film does a little bit differently, but he was focusing on telling a good story.
Yeah, well, that was what Ron Clements was doing with any of his stuff too. That's why I wanted to go to his thing.
Yeah.
because he tells good stories.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just again, because it's just a different perspective, because with it being a visual medium with film, he was talking about like how with film you have to convey these emotions in seconds, and yes, that's the actor, but in the writing you have to be able to even have the actor understand what you're trying to go for. And how do you do that? And so like you have these connections that you build with the characters, but that's part of the emotional journey. You do these experiences and it's about transporting the viewer into the world,
Immersing them.
immersing them.
We should have gone to hers.
Should have gone.
It was really good.
That's
It really
what
been
we
about
wanted.
immersion.
Yeah, he had some really good points. It was just, I mean, even components of story, like there was the challenge, the struggle, and the resolution, and then he would get into explaining how that went, and I really liked him. It was Robert Hatch who did that.
And so we went and got a sweet treat.
Yes, you did.
We had a lovely walk in the early brisk morning.
And it was cold.
It was cold. It was cold.
Let's see, I took
Okay.
4 pages of notes from him. And then I went to the motivation problem with Sandra Taylor, and she was amazing.
That was
and
really good. I
I
thought
thought
you were
the
going
next
to
one you
cry.
were in with me.
That was the one
Sorry?
I had the epiphany in. So
Yeah, I thought you were going to cry.
Oh, okay. Never mind. I went to the edit one first. I thought that was the next one we were together. So, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, so we doubled up on the motivation one, and then you guys doubled up, and I did a game one.
Okay. All right, so tell me more about the motivation one. So, you cried, huh?
I thought she was going to.
She thought I was. It was more of a just a
You can do it.
realization. Like it really was just like a moment of me sitting there and
Yeah.
realizing why it is that I am scared to try and put my work out there and get published or get feedback.
Yeah.
Because it all stems back to the first person I ever asked to read something. And this wasn't like my first ugly work. This is like, I had the 1,000,000 words already under my belt. I have actually already written several, teenage books, and I was well into my 20s. So I gave him the first chapter, and he came back after, I think it was 2 weeks. I had to ask him, like, so how was that? And he told me, oh yeah, I didn't even finish reading it. It was really boring.
Ouch.
And so and it's like that, it's valid. But the fact is that like he gave me nothing else to work with. Like he didn't
Yeah.
tell me the characters are working, which is what I asked him. I was like, I just need to know if the character is working, if the situation is intriguing, because after that I can edit it and I can make it better.
Yeah.
He didn't give me anything except that it was boring. And so that sent me kind of into, just a little sad depression, and didn't write for a while because of it.
Yeah.
Got back into it obviously.
Yeah.
But now I'm scared to give my work to people
Yeah.
because I don't want to be hurt. And that was the epiphany, was that I am protecting
Mm-hmm.
myself from being hurt
Yeah.
by not doing that. And so I'm self-sabotaging also by also not finishing it completely. Like I've got so many books that are like 3 chapters away from being done, and I'm not finishing them, because if I finish them, then there's no excuse for why I haven't given it to people.
Yeah. And that's a wonderful segue into the motivation one.
Yeah.
We talked about the different types of motivations people have, internal versus external. Do you do really well with self-check-in, calendars, checklists, etc.? Or do you do better with an accountability part? What are the different downsides to both of those? So you've got your internal, external. You also have your curiosity versus result. What happens when I do this thing versus society saying, do the thing because you're supposed to? You've got your emotion versus dispassion. I love doing this. I am driven by feeling all of these. Emotion in my live wire versus dispassion, which is emotion needs to be put to the side. This is all about logic, and that's what motivates you. And then you've got your compliance versus rebellion, which is my big motivator. I rebel. I don't like doing what people tell me to do or not to
The
do.
2 of you, no way.
Right? Well, like I shared at one point, if you tell me to do the dishes, I'm going to say no just because I'm going to not do it, even if I was supposed to.
Back in high school, I had an art teacher who told me I couldn't paint something that could win.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you totally
I
what you did, yeah.
straight up was
Yeah.
just like, screw you, and I won Artist of the Year for it.
Yeah, and that's the rebellion versus the
Yeah.
compliance.
Yeah.
The compliance is I need to fit in. I want to have
Yeah, that's right.
this shelf. It is you.
That
It's
is
totally you. Meanwhile, we've got the rebellion. We have to stand out. We're going to do this out of spite.
Yeah.
And you can be anywhere in between
Is it-
one or the other or all of them.
See, so my first time turning in writing was to my grandmother. She was an English teacher, so my mom was like, show it to her. It's so amazing that you wrote this. And my grandma took her red pen
Blood all over.
and bled all over it, and then said I'd make a good smut writer someday. And at 13 and a Christian, that was not a compliment.
No.
And I want to point out that
You're such a goblin.
I am.
but the reason, or the style of book it was, I was reading Sweet Valley High at the time. So it was very like teenagers in high school, blah, 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 blah. So I could kind of see like the segue, like when she grows up, this could be what it becomes. But I was 13 and a Christian and going, that's not a compliment.
No.
And so I immediately was like, I must not be good at this. And I didn't write again until I was 17. And by that point, she had said enough things that made me feel bad about myself and feel like we're not on the same page. Therefore, I don't care if she doesn't like it. I'm going to do it. And a few years ago, and I just found out the other day, she didn't know I had published the Christmas series at all. She thought I only had the More Than Conquerors one. So when I published the third More Than Conquerors book, she called and said, you owe your success to me because I told you you couldn't do it. And I'm like, I don't feel like I'm the rebellious. Yeah, I don't feel like I'm the rebellious one doing this.
You are not.
Me?
Not at all.
No.
No?
No.
That's,
No.
we're so tired. It's like at 10. We want to go to bed.
We're tired. Like, I'm still wired in a way, but I am so tired.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I'm like, I'm going to get hit with the second one. I'm going to write another 5,000 words.
Yeah.
And then I'll cry.
I'll go to bed.
But
I have to
we'll
drive it
send
tomorrow.
you to bed.
Yes.
But going off of that, so my first experience with that rejection, I was telling Melissa, I was in a creative writing class in high school, and a very good friend of mine was in that class too. I did not care for what she wrote. She wrote first person, present tense. And it was a weird omnipresent sort of first person, very strange. I did not like it. I stick third person, unreliable, past tense writing.
You're close.
Yeah.
Like the camera lens is close.
Yes, camera lens is close. You get one character, you get in their head, and if something happens, well, it's probably their fault. Regardless, though, I remember the one assignment that we were asked for was write about this special place after X amount of time. I don't remember how much it was. I think I said 20 years or something. But I wrote about my family cabin. And I explained, this is what the layout of the cabin was. And it used to have glistening, beautiful hardwood floors, but now it's decrepit. It's falling apart. And now I'm realizing that that was probably the first time I scared my teachers with horror. Anyway, we had gone back and forth over our stories, and we both turned them in. And I remember vividly that the teacher absolutely gushed over her work and gave her beautiful, beautiful, you did amazing. It was so, it was provoking of emotions, gave her an amazing grade. She did great. He gave me a C.
Mm.
And my friend admitted to me she just slapped it together the night before.
Yeah.
And it hurt. It hurt a lot because it's like, I've been working at this for so long. Why on earth am I less than this standard? Which, again, I love my friend very much. She is a wonderful woman, wonderful mother, wonderful storyteller. But knowing that she just kind of threw things together and said, let's see what happens.
It's
the comparison.
Yeah, you worked hard on it.
Exactly.
You spent time doing this,
Mm-hmm.
and she did it before midnight the night before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that goes into the reason that people do avoid things. You are avoiding it because of a fear.
Yeah.
A fear of harm, a fear of unpleasantness, or because you are doubting yourself. You are fearful of what you are incapable of doing. And when you recognize that, you need to immediately call it out, because then it can't hide behind a mask of, oh, it's okay. And then you need to also take and figure out how you can fix it. So in my case, I've recognized, I have a fear of rejection because I've been rejected after putting my heart into this. Call it out. That's rejection. And our problem solving, yes, rejection happens, but as we've learned before, failure does not mean defeat. Failure means growth.
Mm-hmm.
And then slowly, with that reframing of your mind, you can begin to conquer those avoidance pieces and work at it very slowly to start working back into those motivations while motivating yourself with those little tips and tricks that you find out by how you are motivated. So it was a really valuable class for me.
Yeah, I tracked her down afterwards and I bought her book.
So I'm sorry for the lack of transition here. At the end of the month, after we got back, John and I did get to have a nice little date night thanks to some gifted tickets to see the hockey game. Not the, USA Canada hockey game, though I heard that was great. I'm just not someone that likes to watch sports on TV. I prefer to be there, and lately have been falling in love with actual hockey. So here's some clips from some of the games we've been seeing lately, and we had so much fun. But that was just kind of, since we didn't get to spend Valentine's Day together, it was really nice to be able to have a date night like this. All right, so we have another new location for this segment, which is where I tell you about what I've been reading this month. We are in my office in front of one of my many bookshelves in this place. On my Patreon channel, I have been doing office tours where I go through each different section and what books I have read or haven't read yet, DNF'd, all of that. So that's a lot of fun over there. But I decided I needed to be in here for this segment because I needed props for some of the things I wanted to tell you. So I did not expect to have books to recommend this month at first. I felt like last year there were a lot of months where I struggled to actually have books to recommend. Not that I wasn't reading, but I wasn't enjoying all of them or didn't think that they were worth telling other people about. I had some great reads from last year, as I spoke about in my last video about my favorite reads from 2025. But in January itself, I didn't have any books that I really felt like recommending. And I was like, oh no, is this going to become a pattern? And so I was like, oh, well, maybe I'll do kind of like my office tours thing and just pick a theme each month. And so I was like, okay, it's February. I could talk about my favorite romance books. And you'll see behind me, I have a ton of fairy tale retellings, which would have been the bulk of them because I love my fairy tale retellings. And then surprisingly, there were one book after another that I actually really enjoyed. So I am going to talk about the books I have read. If you like the idea of me picking a theme, or if there's a certain month where I'm like, yeah, I didn't, so here's a theme that I'm going to talk about this month, let me know in the comments. Let me know if there's any themes in particular you're wanting me to talk about, or if you want me to do like what is based on, the calendar, February love books, March St. Patrick's Day books. I got like one Irish book somewhere around here. So let me know what you think about that. So first of all, I read this book, Lost Starlight, by Kayla Eshbaugh. Now, I've talked about books that I have read from her, and I like her like swoony romance style. Let's see what I got over here. I have Fairest One I talked about from my favorites. I have another book here on this shelf that I got for Christmas, True Princess. I have not read that one yet. This is technically the very first book, I think, in this series. I'm now doubting myself, but I'm fairly sure this is the first one. Oh yes, book one. So this is the first one in this series. They're all standalone, so you can read them at different times and stuff, which is why I have different ones of different ones. And this one, Christmas time, I talked about this one, The Iced Path. Now, both this one and this one are also part of multi-author book series. So they fit into her normal series as well as a multi-author series. And so with that in mind, dropped that book. Okay. With that in mind, this book I think is part of the All That Glitters, and it was the only one I got of this series. So I don't know if the reason for this stylistic choice she made of not telling the story in a linear fashion. Instead of starting with this is how they met and this is how they slowly fell in love, she was kind of hopping around. And it kind of annoyed me because I didn't feel like I fell in love with the characters and their romance as quickly as I normally would. Because it hopped straight from this is how they met, which was adorable. It was an adorable meet cute. I loved it. To this is 2 years later and they're engaged. And I'm like, wait, what? And then it would go back and forth and go back and forth. So you eventually got the story. But I didn't fall for it the same way. The story overall was cute though. I thought it was a really interesting take on Peter Pan. And I love Peter Pan retellings. So I was excited to read this one. But that was my opinion on it, was that I I wish it had been told in a linear fashion. How, with that being said, I don't know if the All That Glitters series had to be told in that fashion, and so it was a stylistic choice that way, or if she did it so that it would fit better in her current series, because she did have characters from another book that were involved in this one. I'm not really sure. So this one I'd probably give a solid 3.5 stars because it was fun. But that was my one critique about it, is it was kind of hard to follow. We will go to the next one, By My Own Betrayal by Cindy Trenholm. And this one I got for Christmas, so it was part of my, ignore that. It was part of the books I got for Christmas, and I was excited to read. It is a very fun adventure. It's a Christian fiction adventure. I think it's technically supposed to be YA, but the character's 18, 19, or something like that. And I have an issue with people calling that YA when they're dealing with adult issues. And so, but other than that, it was fun. So she is part of a family that are contract people that take out other people, and I have to say it that way for YouTube guidelines. And when she becomes a Christian, she decides she's going to turn herself into the FBI. And instead of going to prison, they offer her a job helping them catch other people who do what her family does. And it was really interesting to see that sort of, like, from a Christian perspective of someone who wasn't a Christian, became a Christian, and is like, I want to do the right thing and make a difference. And so it was fun. I wish it was longer, to be honest. There were some scenes, like some of the ending fight scenes, I was like, I want to live in this a little bit longer. I wish it had been a little bit longer. There is supposed to be a sequel. I'm not sure if it's out yet or not. I just saw when I flipped the last page, it was like, her story continues. So I'm probably going to grab the second one of that. All right. And lastly, this was my surprise read. My first 5-star read of 2026. Oh my goodness. When I picked this up only a couple days ago, and so I was like, it's probably going to end up being a March recommendation, because it usually takes me about 2 weeks to finish a book. A week to 2 weeks, depending on how thick it is. And so I expected this to take 2 weeks. And oh my goodness, I flew through this so fast. I have not in years been like, I can't wait till I get off work. I can't wait till I have a break. I can't wait till I can get back to my house and I can read. And I sat and read for hours so that I could finish this so fast. It is seriously the best book I have read in a very long time. Fit for a Prince by Abigail Manning. And it is just so good. It starts out with the very first sentence of, he's dead, the prince is dead. And I'm like, can I say that on here? I hope I could say that on here. He is gone. The prince is... Okay, I'm going to stop saying that. Anyway. Maybe I'll just pick it up after here. So, it starts with her running away through a castle that is on fire as an enemy army is coming in, and she gets captured. And she is wearing the ring of the queen of that country. And the king from the enemy country is like, why are you wearing the ring? Were you engaged to the prince? And he's like, oh, that's interesting. And so then he decides to toy with her. So after her being in the dungeon for a while, he brings her out of the dungeon and says, okay, if you can convince one of my sons to marry you, then you can live. And it's about her trying to figure out how to make these enemy princes, there's 3 of them, fall in love with her. And oh my God, it was so riveting. Every chapter had me wanting to go to the next chapter. I was so excited. There's a huge twist. I get to the end and I'm like, no, I need the next book. Like, I was literally begging my husband, please let me get the next book. Please, please, please. Because he's very supportive of the books that I want, but he also lets me know that I have a ton on my shelves that I have not read yet. And I was like, I need the next one. I need it now. And then we realized it's not out now. It comes out the end of March. So hopefully in the next video, I will be gushing about the sequel. I can't wait to read it. So let me know what books you read this month, what you enjoyed. Maybe I could find another 5-star read. And also let me know what you think about the picking a theme and kind of just going through my bookshelves for you. And now for the writing updates for this month. I have been very busy trying to accomplish as much as possible. So if you remember from last month's video, I talked about my 2026 bingo card, my way of trying to accomplish different goals without it feeling like too much pressure. And as you can see, I have quite a few things already checked off. One of the things on here is to publish a children's book. Now, I have not published a children's book since 2016. It was my very first book. It was inspired by an assignment where I wrote the Christmas story from the point of view of an angel, and it was inspired by my nativity collection that I still have. And when I finished it, my instructor said, when you publish, this needs to be the first book you publish. And so I published it, and it was definitely a whirlwind. If you were here for that drama, it was crazy because the artist I had hired ghosted me before the publication came out, and I ended up having to find someone, and he was great, and he put this together within like a week, and it was great. And I was doing vanity publishing at the time. As you'll see, it says Halo Publishing. And I learned later about self-publishing and all of that. And so I ended up taking it off of vanity publishing, republishing it through Lulu, which if you're interested in the writing, like here's a little snippet into author life. There are different print-on-demand companies. Amazon has KDP. Ingram, which is a distributor, has Ingram Spark. I prefer not to work with them because they're very frustrating. There's Draft Digital, which has both digital and print now. And they are kind of a way around Ingram Spark because they use Ingram to put their books in stores. So I prefer them. There's a new one called Quill and Courier that I'm kind of wanting to look into. I just have not had time yet. And then there is Lulu that I had heard about. And so right now this book has a new cover and is in a different format. It has a hardback, and it is on Lulu, but because of their requirements, it's like $30 for a children's book. And so I don't make any sales on it. I'm fully aware that I don't make any sales. And I went from working on that to moving into the YA space, which is where I wanted to be. And so I went that direction. I wasn't worried about it. And this last year, I started getting ideas for children's books again. I don't know why. There's a couple of different ones. One is actually, I want to republish this one. And so hopefully I'll actually finally be able to do that and actually make it a series where there will be a couple of different ones. But I was inspired. And so I was like, all right, let's work on my first children's book. And I did. And I'm trying not to, I'm going to flip the page so you can't see the title since I have not revealed the title yet. So here's my notebook with all of it. I worked on it while I was at the Café at Amore pop-up. So it was really nice. That's one of the nice things about doing a pop-up rather than a craft fair. The craft fair, I feel like I always have to be like on, ready to talk to people, ready to like sell them something. Where the cafe, I could actually sit and work and just notice if someone started showing interest. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so while I was doing that, I was able to work on this, and it was so much fun. I'm so excited. I don't know if you could see the title. Don't look at the title. Anyway, I was so excited to finish it. It is a rhyming book, which I have discovered I do not like. Unfortunately, the story required it. So I am so excited that this is finished being written. I think there is one line that I decided later I wanted to adjust, but it is done being written. And so we will see if I can get it published this year. Working with a children's book is different than me doing a YA book, because everything for a YA book, other than editing, I do myself. I format it myself. I do all the chapter header images. I actually do my own covers. This is different. I have to have an artist, and that requires being able to pay an artist, which, just got to be honest, is hard when you're juggling all these other things. And I know some people are like, oh, you make so much money, don't you? And I'm like, I feel like just as much money goes back out to keep the businesses going. So it's going to be a struggle for me to go back into this world. I have sent out some feelers to a couple of artists that I'm happy to work with, and I'm waiting for them to get back to me with their sample pages so we could see which one I'm moving forward with and how this is going to happen. So we're crossing our fingers that this is going to happen this year, and I will be able to check that off of the list. I have also continued to work on my Robin Hood retelling. Because it's part of a multi-author series, I had to put it up for pre-order along with the rest of the collection, and I was shocked. Within a couple of days, it hit number 16 on Amazon. I've never had a pre-order do that well. In fact, the last pre-order I did didn't get any sales whatsoever. So I was flabbergasted, and I found out while I was at the conference, and my friends were like, "That's amazing!" And I was so tired that I'm just like, "It is, yay!" But it made me super excited about it. Not just the story, but about this world and diving back into this story again as soon as I got back. And I wanted to say, hey, if you want to join the excitement and move it even higher, I think it's probably fallen a couple of paces since then. So if you want to put it back up, the ebook is available for pre-order now, and I will put the link down below so that you can do that. I'm super excited about it. It's probably going to be one of my favorites that I've written so far. With that being said, though this Robin Hood retelling does take place in the More Than Conquerors world, that does not mean that the projects in that series, like book 4, have been put on hold. They have not. I am nearly finished outlining the book 4, and I've already started the note card draft. If you know, you know that I always do a note card draft with my scenes. And so I've already started working on that, and it's still in the early stages, but I'm genuinely excited about where it's going. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a bit of a longer one due to the videos from LTUE and all of that. I will say, so I did not put the entire videos. Like I said, the first night was 25 minutes, the second night was an hour, the third night 2 hours. I knew I couldn't put that inside this video. However, we really enjoyed talking about craft. I put a little note that said that, like, for context, I write YA. My friend Ellie writes adult. She writes Christian adult fantasy, which leans darker, actually, as dark fantasy. And then Melissa, she writes fantasy. She is actually the moderator of our writing group at the library. And so she works at the library. She used to work at a bookstore, which I used to work at a bookstore too, but nowhere near as long as she did. She's so amazing. She knows so much about the industry. So we have all these different perspectives, and we just enjoyed talking about the different perspectives that we had. And so in the end, we decided that we have to start a podcast. And so we are so excited to do that. We're going to use those first 3 that we filmed as kind of our first 3 episodes. We'll do an intro episode and then those first 3 episodes to kind of introduce ourselves, also to kind of explain the crown thing, because we're going to play off of that. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to reveal the name, so I'm not going to reveal the name right now. But we're going to play off of the crowns that we all bought. And that's going to be part of the name of our podcast. And so we will wear all our crowns during the podcast and during the videos of the podcast. So we're hoping to do YouTube videos like this, where we're sitting there talking podcast style, and then an actual podcast where you'd just be listening to it. but we'd be wearing our crowns during it or having that as part of our logo. So, but we are so excited. We talked the entire way home about all the different episodes we want to do, and we love that we have all these different perspectives just to come together and talk about the craft of writing from these different perspectives. We are so excited about it. So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye on my social media because I'll be posting about it as we do a few more videos before we get started. We want to hit the ground running with that. So we want to have as many episodes banked as possible getting started. So I'm so excited for this new step in this career that I had on my 2026 bingo card, speak on a podcast. I think it says guest. I don't know if it says speak on it or be a guest on a podcast. I did not have start a podcast. That was not on the bingo card. However, if it happens, that is so cool because I've always kind of wanted to do that. I just didn't know if it was possible. And now I'm like, this might be happening. So I'm super excited about it. I hope you are too. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video. Have a nice March. Bye.